There we go.
Hold on. Because you said, oh, come on, like on come on right after I started the recording. So hold on. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Self-Publishing Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about like basically the opposite of self-publishing podcast stuff, right? Like we're having Beth Erickson on, and she is going to talk about like working with a small press because self-publishing isn't right for everybody. And here's sort of how you can, help to define that, to figure that out, like devil's advocate stuff, right?
Yeah, but also I think just talking about a lot of author assumptions, Beth has been working with authors for a long, long time. And, she kind of knows how the authors as a community think. And so it's just a really smart person to talk to get kind of insight into what are the same mistakes that you see authors making over and over and over, because wouldn't we all like to, skip our awkward teenage years if we can? Right? Like
I know I would.
Right. So yeah, and she's just like the most lovable person. So everybody will.
She's delightful. The cool thing about Beth is she really has she has a long history in publishing, but it's just a different history than most people. Like she just like literally has done a bunch with print and direct mailing, and has worked with like some folks who are like pioneers in direct mailing. And it's sort of an old school approach to a new topic. And I think that we'll really benefit from the fresh perspective.
Yeah, I totally agree. So who has something cool? I know Dave's something cool is that he just woke up 20 minutes ago, right, Dave?
Oh, I have something cool.
Oh,
wow. I can't wait to see what it is. It's going to be good.
Actually, it is. It's a show called Legion. Have either of you seen it?
I have not.
But I have heard about it peripherally.
Legion is based on a Marvel comic book. It is, well, it might be a spoiler to say who the character is, but it's a very interesting character.
Wait. How is the spoiler?
Well, because
the main character is?
Well, because when you start the series, it's about a guy that's in an insane asylum, and he doesn't know who his real father is. His real father is Professor X from X-Men.
Oh, that's badass.
He may either be according to the show anyway. I mean, I know more than the show has said so far. According to the show, he may either be crazy or the most powerful mutant ever.
That's a great premise.
And the show is absolutely phenomenal. It's on FX. And
how deep is it? Did it just start in 2017?
Yeah. They're 2 episodes in, so you can catch it right now. It's definitely worth it. I think they only did 8 episodes for the rest.
Oh, you know me. I'll wait until all 8 episodes are out.
And better than the fact that it's an X-Men thing, because I mean, I fucking love X-Men.
I know you have
it's very underrepresented on television. It's directed and maybe written by Noah Hawley from Fargo.
Oh, no way.
So it is multi-layered.
That's really cool.
Fuck. And like there's just all these little there's like Easter eggs and there's all these cool things. And I wish you guys were watching the show, because there's like I want to know what you think about certain things. It's just
all right.
water cooler show.
Okay, I'm gonna make you a deal, dude. I'll make you a deal because
I'm not watching La La Land.
No, you don't have to watch La La Land. I don't ask you to do things you don't want to do, but I will be happy to.
What?
I'm here, aren't I, on the show? Awake.
Well, okay.
4 or 5 p.m.
Other than the things I ask you to do for our community, I don't ask you to do anything you don't.
Oh, okay.
But you know how I am about like, oh, I'm not going to watch that show live. Like I'm waiting until they're all out. Yeah. I'll watch this so we can watch it together. I'll start. So we're 2 episodes in, and it's on FX.
Yes.
Okay. I will get. I'm sure I can see it on Hulu, so I'll watch that. All right. Awesome.
Johnny, wait. What's the flip side? What's Dave got to do?
I'm not. I don't ask for reciprocal shit. I'm just.
I thought that was the way you started it. Was I'll make you a deal.
Well, the deal's one-sided. I'm going to watch it so we can talk about it.
That's not a deal. That's a concession.
Well, it's not.
That's the kind of deals I like.
Right. It's a deal I know Dave will take.
Part of the deal, man.
Dave doesn't take all of my deals, so I have to make them really worth his while. This one is, hey, I'll watch that show you're interested in, and we can talk about it on Mondays.
Johnny's such a jealous lover.
I know.
He wants you to make me do something.
No, he's like, I went down on you. It's your turn to go down on me. Keeping score.
Graphic. Mine is it's another one of the personal something cools, but I think that it goes to we business and life blends for us an entrepreneur. Like you a lot of us love what we do, and so we do it all the time. If you're working a full-time job, you're filling your extra time with your author career, and if you're a full-time author, then you're filling your full-time career, your all your time with your business, and it leaks into everything. And so I just wanted to share sort of a mindful use of time thing that I've been doing recently. Is I've made like a little like a date basically with each of my kids, part of my schedule, and I just me and Sydney, and just me and Austin, and we've never really kind of mindfully done that before. Never like mindfully said just to the two of us, and it's always been as a family or something like that.
I love that. It's
really nice because I feel like I'm just learning little things that don't come out when all of us are talking, and we overpower each other. So it's a different thing each time. Sometimes we just go down to like there's a little coffee shop. Sometimes we'll take a walk, or I'll shoot baskets with Sydney. We have a basketball hoop or whatever, and just really digging it. And I've been watching movies with Austin that I have been looking forward to watching with my kids. So yeah, it's just been a great little thing.
That's
do you
awesome.
make them fight for your time? Like you throw them in a cage, like whoever the winner is gets to spend an hour with daddy today?
Well, it's pretty much like prove who loves me more, or who I love
good,
more,
good.
That sort of thing.
So mine is a personal thing too, but it's fun.
The show is so sappy.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be many stories to come from this. I can only imagine.
I already know what it is.
We are a story-based show, so here we go. Next week I'm getting a puppy, and we're all super excited. It's actually on the calendar. There's calendar time to go get a puppy, so we're going to get a puppy next week, and I'm so super excited. Yeah, I had to cancel my weekly with Christine because what is Dave laughing so hard at? Dave, would you like to share with the class?
I'm thinking of the George Carlin quote that you're just basically purchasing a tragedy 10, 15 years from now.
Of course you are.
Enjoy your puppy.
Of course you are. You are just the saddest person. Like, even a puppy you have to destroy. Like, I don't even have the puppy yet, and you're already gloom and darkness
going to die
into its life.
Why begin reading a book? It's just going to end.
Yeah. Matt Ryan asks what breed. It's a Labradoodle.
There was a pet store in the mall that we used to go to. I'm not a big fan of pet stores. I find them kind of sad, but the kids always wanted to go. And there was this one store that, puppies are expensive at a store like that. Like they're, $600-800 or more sometimes. And you'll see, but it's like, okay, well, they're purebreds. There'd be golden retrievers or pugs or something like that. And then you'll see like Labradoodle where they combine, and it's sort of an unofficial official breed. And this store in particular would have, it'd be like Labrapoodle Spaniel. And like she'd just make up words, and it'd be like, it'd have 4 things in it. You're like, that's a mutt, dude. That's like free down at the pound. You can't make that shit up.
You need a golden doodle.
And it'd be $800.
And Beth asks if someone in the family is allergic. Cindy is completely.
She'll be allergic to the dog you're getting?
No, it's a hypoallergenic breed.
Oh, okay.
That's one of the reasons we chose it.
Are there hypoallergenic people?
I don't know.
Depends on what your allergies are.
I don't know. I think if they
I'm allergic to stupid.
I think if they follow Dave's list or the rules for meeting Dave, I think if people follow those, they're not hypoallergenic. Is that correct?
I'm allergic to people looking directly at me, walking behind me, touching me, taking off
breathing my air, sighing.
Standing in the way, reading their receipt. That one really burns.
Touching bread. So what do you want to talk about before Beth gets there? Do you want to can you give a preview to the small press topic? Or do we want to wait for Beth? Or you could just show up right now.
Well, that was magical. Well,
that's not Beth. I knew Liz was first. I knew it.
Is Liz first?
Yes, I knew it. I knew Liz was first, damn it. I was like, okay, Sean says Beth is first.
Oh, wow.
All right, so what we're going to be talking about today instead of small presses.
Oh, wow. I horribly fucked that up. All right. So,
what's today's real topic?
wait. I would just say,
start the show over.
I'm looking at Asana, 1 p.m.
All right, wait. I want to say that this is
Watch
awesome.
Beth also come on.
No. This is awesome. Because here we go. So, stories are awesome, and they're made from our mistakes. And we've not had a fuck up like this ever in 5 years. So this is original and awesome. So welcome, Liz. So just to catch you up, Liz, we set up the entirely the wrong guest. We're doing 2 shows back to back, and I apparently don't know my A from my B. So let's shake the Etch-a-Sketch here. And Liz, I met at Jonathan Field's Good Life camp. Was it Camp Good Life? And Liz was doing one of the workshops there on, what was the actual workshop, Liz?
It's how to have more presence on camera.
Yes. And I'm always, rambling and doing the things that you all know I do. So I thought that would be a good one for me to attend. And Liz is just a hell of a storyteller, and she curses. I mean, she makes us all very clean. Like, she's just a dirty person. And so afterwards, I went up to her and basically asked if we could be friends because, she curses and is funny and a great storyteller. But the more I talk to Liz, the more I realize she's totally genius. So Liz, she basically engineered her way so that her professional life is being around smart people. Like, that's what she does for a living. She's got all these different masterminds. And so she can just tap the brains of people all over the world. And I love that. So, everyone listening knows how much I love getting smarter faster, right? And Liz is basically collecting people and stories. And I think a lot of people listening to this are just pure introverts. And they don't want to take the time to get out. They don't want to talk to people. Dave. And so, I think Liz can really speak to that. I think that most of what makes Liz a ninja, she's pulling from other people and from experiences and crystallizing that. And that's really cool. And Dave, Johnny and Liz and I all got together last week for something that Liz will talk about called the story ladder. And you were one of the stories. So she feels like she already knows you. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
So welcome, Liz.
Thank you very much. That was a great intro, considering presumably that was on the fly.
Oh, it totally was on the fly. I'm so sorry. I apparently
it's never not on the fly, though, to be fair.
Double check my schedules, apparently.
Excellent.
If only it was on the calendar.
Yeah. Apparently I can't read a calendar. And it's funny, too, because we were having a whole calendar discussion this morning. And apparently I do not know how to read one. So I am very, very sorry. But yeah. So do you want to talk about the story ladder? Because that was a really cool idea. I never heard of that. And I loved your intention. I loved your insistence on, hey, I'm coming into Austin, so you have no excuse not to do this with me. This will be really, really fun. And I think that's what sometimes us writers need, because we will stay indoors. We will be introverts. And, you pulling both me and Johnny into that space was fun.
Yes, and I understand that, because I'm a very introverted extrovert and I work from home. So I truly understand that going out, well, actually putting on shoes is quite a big day for me, certainly for most of the people I work with.
It's the first thing Dave does. He has an anti-foot fetish.
Really?
He puts shoes on everybody, though. It's not just himself.
Wow. Okay. We must become friends, Dave. I think that would cancel it out. No shoes, that would cancel it out. So story ladder is my answer to the fact that I love meeting people and I love their stories, and I actually don't live anywhere. I'm a digital nomad, so I move all the time. And most of my interaction with people is exactly like this. On Zoom, I have an extremely social job, but I still end up sitting in a room on my own, talking into a computer most of the time. My imaginary friends, as my friends in London call them. And Story Ladder is a way to get around that awkward networking side of things, where I must go out and I must meet people. So I bring about 5 or 6 people together. 5 seems to work quite well. Insist there's a theme insist we meet in person. And the idea is that everybody tells a story. So, and the themes are very vague. So everyone tells one story. And at the end of it, that triggers other stories. That creates a ladder. That's the story ladder. But afterwards, people are remembered for their stories, not for what they do as a job. And it works ludicrously well. In fact, I think it's slightly addictive, because the people that have been twice are getting quite insistent on coming back. So it's great. I ran one last night, and it's just amazing. And also being around people telling stories, it triggers all sorts of stories of your own. And I think that's just really powerful. I think it changes the way we remember things.
Oh yeah, I think anytime you anchor a story to an event, then it basically, your brain says, oh, that's worth a permanent file. you told that story. I'm going to take that from this in basket over here, where it probably would have just gone unpaid for the rest of eternity, and move it over to this basket, which is where all the colorful ones are. You stay here. Absolutely.
I mean, for instance, the story ladder in Austin, I'd never met Johnny before. I can pretty much guarantee he's going to always remember that story ladder. Just
yes.
See, and not just from the stories that were told, but
nope.
The story that is created within the story ladder framework.
Absolutely.
Stories, it's meta stories about the story ladder experience. Say.
I will say that the moment we walked out, we left the restaurant or the hotel lobby, and Johnny turns to me and he says, I need a story ladder about that story ladder.
Absolutely.
It's exactly true. And that's the thing. Like it's stories. And that's what we as storytellers need to collect our own stories too. We can't just be so invested in telling our stories that we're not living them.
Completely. And I think also story is the heart of almost everything. It's not just what helps us remember. It helps us process, and hearing other people's stories. It makes them more human. I've certainly heard some of the most amazing stories. People that, I don't know, they're not just vulnerable, but just different points in their life. People that I've known for years sit down in Story Ladder and they tell, I didn't know you had a physics degree. That kind of just fascinating information about people.
Well, it's an invitation too. I mean, how often you're basically giving someone an open mic to say, tell me something in depth. Tell me something that maybe you haven't spoken of in 20 years, but that will come pouring out of you because you know it, even though you temporarily forgot it. And I think that we tend to walk around the world, with this collective amnesia where we've just lost these really significant pieces of our life because we don't give them breath ever. And having an invitation to sit down and give color to your memory is, I think, outstanding.
Absolutely. I know that my family, I'm Irish, despite the fact I have a British accent, but so obviously I come.
Wait! Can you do the whole little I don't know, your bio in a minute, because it's worth it. It's awesome.
So I'm Irish, but I have an English accent, and I have an English accent because I grew up in Nigeria and in Pakistan, and I am so white I'm almost transparent. Right? I don't do well in the tropics, but somewhere along the way this accent happened, and this is why I sound like this. So so yes, awesome. It's not often that people sound English because they grew up in Nigeria, but there you go.
I'm from Seattle, but I grew up around an English pub.
Close enough. Same thing, really.
Are you the person that's been sending me those emails about the fortune I could have if I just get my...
I've gotten a few of those. You're not getting your hands on my fortune, fucker. He told me all about that.
No, but if you do have some investments, I can probably hook you up with some people that might be interested, Dave.
Awesome.
Okay, so can we talk a little bit about the multi-masterminds, because that's basically genius. I think I highly suggest that everybody in their lifetime at least finds one mastermind. If you're really into it, 2, maybe 3, but you're like, no, I need 49. So can you
all the masterminds?
Right, I need all the masterminds.
All the masterminds.
Well,
sorry.
Before we do that, can we talk about what the difference is between a story ladder and just having a conversation?
That is a really good question. Focus, generally.
I have never had focus to my conversations before.
And the themes are vague. So it's having a theme and making sure that people turn up with one good story. Because with introverts, as you well know, if you just spring a, go on, tell me an amazing story from your life on the theme of goals or bananas, you're going to have nothing. 3 weeks later, you're going to have the best story ever, but on the spot, nothing. So I give people about 3 weeks warning to come up with a story.
Yeah, the constraints really help. Like Johnny and I both came prepared with pretty funny stories.
Yeah, but I had to punt because mine wasn't appropriate when we got there. And so I had to come up with a new one. And I said, well, I could tell a Dave story. And when we were done, they were like, so what was our theme was
what
short
was the real story? Yeah.
And so,
a very Davy Christmas.
Yes, he did. He told a very Davy Christmas.
Yeah, and so people they were all
my
like,
story, motherfucker.
They were all like,
we just wanted you with us.
So what was the shortchanged part? And I said, well, Dave was shortchanged by life in that essence.
Yeah, but it was fun for sure. But when you're talking to all these smart people, how much overlap is there between the different disciplines? Because if you're in that many masterminds, they have to be from a lot of different industries and a lot of different interests. So that to me is amazing, because I always find the best ideas and the best intersections aren't coming from people talking about publishing. They're talking about something totally different. And I'm like, oh, it's like walking in the early 50s and seeing, chaotic burger joints and thinking about, Henry Ford's assembly line. And then, oh, well, you could do that with hamburgers. And then we have McDonald's, right? It's like looking for those other intersections. And so where do you see those?
Absolutely. I should also point out that I run masterminds. It's not that I've simply forced 48 people to allow me to be in their mastermind.
Right. Big clarification.
They're there because I'm running the mastermind. So, but you're right, it is accelerated learning. I mostly work with entrepreneurs, and they're mostly heart-centered, which is a really nice way of saying they're not bastards. And I think that's an important thing when you choose who you're working with, myself. So the interesting thing about masterminds is that whatever the group is brought together for, so it could be a copywriting mastermind or a growth mastermind or build your list mastermind or whatever it is, whatever you start with, they're always about the same 5 things when you get down to it, every single mastermind. And I think this is just human.
What if you all wanted to be bastards? So like that was what your mastermind was about.
Well,
Would
again,
the bastard thing be okay with that?
Yeah, that's true. If your job was being a bastard, I'd be personally, as a business strategist, I'd be interested in where the profit margin is in that. But once we'd managed a growth strategy for it.
Oh, I think there's a lot of profit margin in being a bastard because you don't care about people.
True.
Right? I think that's a highly profitable place.
I'd be interested in your metrics for that. It would be interesting.
Yeah.
So the 5 things that every mastermind is about is it's always about, there's obviously some form of goals, because you meet this time, and when you make goals when you meet next time. There's always an element of self-care, because if you're really pushing for something, people just aren't, they're ignoring something else. If you're growing your business, or you're growing your readership, or you're picking out which shoes you're going to wear for everyone who comes to your house, whatever it is, there's going to be something that is taking a back seat for that. So goals, mindset, self-care, mindset is huge. Like just making sure that people's head is in the game, but also dealing with fear. That's like mindset gone wrong. So if you're
imagine like a group of authors that basically they decide to meet every single Monday, and ideally they have one person who's kind of facilitating the conversation to make sure that nothing gets lost. And they're saying, okay, what were our goals this week? What things held us back this week? What did we say we were going to do that we didn't? Basically, a mastermind ideally offers accountability more than anything else, right? Because
absolutely. So
I'm going to do this, I'm going to finish it.
Yeah, accountability, support, and there's also, let's face it, there's an awful lot of what we do day to day that isn't interesting to other people who aren't doing exactly the same thing. I can remember when I built my first landing page, and I showed it to my then partner, and he went, "It's all right." And it took me like a month.
Well, if your partner was British, that's very enthusiastic.
Yeah, that's actually that's a good point. But I showed it to my mastermind, and they gave me a standing ovation. Admittedly, it was 6 people giving me a standing ovation, but all the same, it was quite exciting because they know how much it is. And for authors, it would be, I know, finishing your pitch for an agency or finishing an outline, whereas everyone else is going, have you still not finished that? You started that weeks ago.
Right. And so you don't have to think, I mean, there are certainly lines between something like a mastermind and an accountability group, right? but they can be the same thing. It's just Absolutely. What your needs are. And you don't have to think in these grand terms of, what mastermind can I join? It can be as simple as, I need to find 5 authors like me who are either a little bit above, a little bit below, or just right around where I am right now, so we can all kind of push each other together forward, and we'll decide what the rules of our mastermind are, whether that's meeting, every Friday after the work week, or on Sundays or Wednesdays. It doesn't matter. That these are consistent rules, and this is how we govern each other and push each other forward. You don't want to make the mistake of thinking it has to be this big formal arrangement. It's like if you're looking for a mentor, like mentors can come from the people who write blog posts that you read that touch you, or conversations that you have that really stick with you and change the way you think. It doesn't have to be a formal application. Please, can I be your mentor? Because that's kind of a way to make somebody run screaming anyway, right? Like, oh yes,
you just have to step into my van.
Right. I would be happy to do a lot of work for free at your request. But you can pull that, and the idea of getting together it's important to recognize, because a lot of authors won't take those steps. They won't form these groups. They won't. What they will do is form like critique groups, but that's something different. That's not what I mean at all here. Critique groups can actually be kind of destructive and hold you back, rather than, here, what did you do last week that you didn't do this week? How did you drive your business forward? That kind of thing. Exactly.
And there's a long tradition of writers groups more than critique groups. So do you know about the Inklings in Oxford in the 30s?
No. I actually think I do, but I couldn't explain it.
Oh, okay. Well, it was Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, and the guy who wrote Cthulhu. That was H.P. Lovecraft. And a group of other slightly lesser writers.
Those fuckers never came to anything.
No, nothing. They met in a pub called the Spread Eagle in Oxford for something like a decade. In the back room. In fact, the back room is called the Inklings room. And it's effectively a mastermind, because they didn't come to discuss each other's books. They discussed how to get them published.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that's a mastermind.
It's a mastermind. And how to work and keep the public, steady with the flow of their work, whether or not it was worth doing magazine articles as well as books. That's a mastermind.
Yeah, if you think about like what Dave's question, how's a story ladder different from a conversation, right? So how is this different from like a typical group? Because it has focus, and it has recurring focus. So, when a mastermind meets, they check in with the projects. If somebody says, I'm going to nail this quarter, I'm going to do this and this and this and this, you want to hear from that person next time. How did that go? How did that go? Where were you? Because you want to be accountable. You, as the person attending, want to be having to answer those questions, because otherwise, why are you a part of it? And so I think that understanding that that's important to have this kind of back and forth. It doesn't have to be formal, but you should go out and look for it. So Liz, what would you say to an introvert who doesn't really want to do that, or even know how to do it if they wanted to? Well, I don't even know where I would start looking for that. Hey, would you please be in a mastermind for me? Is kind of a weird question for many people.
True. That would be a weird question. So first of all, find some people who know what a mastermind is. That would be your first bet. Or explain it to them clearly. Having people with similar goals is important. When people set up free masterminds, there are 2 big mistakes they make. One is that they immediately pick their friends who aren't necessarily
right.
the best choice, because they're not necessarily going to give you the right feedback. And also they tend to pick people who are available on a particular day. I can do it on a Wednesday afternoon. You're free on a Wednesday afternoon. We're friends. Let's be in a mastermind. That's not the best bet. What you're looking for are people who have similar goals and a similar speed to that goal. So if I wanted to write a book, but I want to do it in 2 years, and you want to write a book, but you're going to finish it by Easter, then we are not on the same track, and working together will annoy both of us. accountability wise. So you want to find some people that are similar. Where I would suggest finding similar people for Mastermind as writers would be potentially actually in your writing group isn't a bad start. As long as you're looking for people that want accountability. Other writing groups, I mean, presumably within your community, I mean, you run Masterminds of your own, don't you?
Yeah. I think within our Smarter Artist Face group for sure, because if you're kind of in that group, you already have a certain work ethic, you already have a certain ideology, you kind of self-selected. So I think people finding one another within that group is a perfect hunting ground. You basically, it's watering holes, right? Go to where your fellow animal is going to be drinking. I think it's that simple.
Oh, completely. And it's also, I wouldn't say only look for other writers as well. To your point earlier,
I'd say you absolutely should not only look for other writers. Well, it depends what your goal is.
Yeah.
If it's a really indie author centric mastermind, then okay, that's great. But I also tend to think that those kinds of masterminds get tunnel vision. Our mastermind Stone Table, we very intentionally don't want only authors in there because we need other disciplines, we need other ideas, we need to be able to bounce back and forth because that's where we're going to learn the most and how we're going to offer those people the most. So I absolutely think, but I also think that you can start small and get big. So you don't necessarily need to have a big formal mastermind or even a paid mastermind or anything like that. But I think that once you can afford to be in a situation where you're looking to expand your business in that way, basically when you come to the point in your business where you're looking for big ticket things to spend money on because otherwise you're just going to pay it in taxes, that's a really good thing to spend money on. You're spending money on being around smart people who are going to challenge your thinking.
Absolutely. And the person probably in the first two or 3 years of me being a true entrepreneur instead of just running a business in the film industry, which I'd been doing for a long time, so I knew how to do. The person I learned most from was a man who ran 5- and 6-star hotels in Austria and in India. I mean, I was in India at the time, but I would never have thought at the beginning that he would teach me as much about running a business that was relevant to my business. But he taught me about how to take all the information I knew from film about process and making sure things happen and story and how you fit it together, and how a hotel is also about process and story and the client is the hero. And it's just really familiar to me, but seeing it in a different setup was really useful. So exactly, I've learned most from people that don't do anything like what I do. Like what I do. Ooh, terrible. I apologize.
All right. So do you think that being in a mastermind is more about giving or receiving?
Actually, probably giving, to be honest, because there's that old motto, give as get. I've found with my clients that over and over again, they'll take information in there when it's their time for the question, it's their spotlight. So they'll get really helpful information. But where they really see shift is when they're giving some beautifully modulated advice to someone else.
Yeah, no, I've seen exactly the same thing.
And then there's this pause where they go, oh, maybe I should do it myself. Bollocks.
Yeah, no, I've really found that people who are able to give more, and again, the context in this, yes, it's masterminds, but it's just in relationships, it's in dialogue, it's when you're talking to people online, offline, it doesn't really matter. When you're helping somebody with something, like take every opportunity to do it. Not to where you're like the customer service desk for random people for no reason, but when people are asking a question on Facebook, for example, in the Smarter Artist group, and you see that question and it's something that you can answer just like boom, hop in, answer it. It's an amazing thing to do. You get better at what you're doing, and you become more certain of your track. And it's always worth time to reach out and help somebody else if you can help them, because you're getting smarter too. And there's something karmically really beautiful about that. I know for years, I didn't have anything to get. I mean, when I first started going to masterminds, it was, with Lori, my friend, and I was just there as her companion. And then later I was like, okay, I want to do this, but we didn't have really anything to sell because it was just $3.99 books that we were talking about at the time. So it was just basic general business stuff. And I gave all the time, but I didn't really have anything to get. And then now that I do, like those intersections come really easily, and it's like you pay into it, and the learning is just there. You just have to believe that it's coming.
And I think that there's also a huge value in just simply getting out. I was talking to somebody the other day and about like, we get in this, especially if you're full time and you kind of don't have any walls on your time and any reason to go out. And then it's like, you're okay, I'm here and I have to produce work and I'm aimless, and that Parkinson's law thing where you don't get anything done because you have too much time to get things done. And just the simple fact of getting out around people is another benefit of this too. We do tend to be introverts who stay in our houses. So leaving to meet anybody can often be a benefit in addition to what we're talking about here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It really is about just bringing the stories that are already there around you into your world and thinking how you can learn from them. And masterminds are a very formal way of doing that. But I mean, I imagine we didn't talk very much about your background, Liz, because I completely fucked up the your intro. But you have a fascinating background, and I imagine that. I mean, I'd love to talk a little bit about that, but I imagine that really had a lot to do with your need to be around all these different people and all these different disciplines. I mean, I never put that together until really just now asking the question, but I imagine it did, right? On set all the time?
Completely. Because my background is in visual effects. So I'm a geek, basically. Visual effects. I used to avoid being on set because I had to speak to people. I didn't really like it so much. So I worked in post-production, building beautiful cities and massive worlds that then normally got the shit blown up out of them, to be honest. Pretty much any of those big sort of Hollywood films where you come out and go, that was rubbish, but it looked good. That was the stuff I did. And to do that.
The Lord's work, Liz, the Lord's work.
It was a beautiful thing. Yeah, exactly. My entire oeuvre of work, you could look at and go, wasn't very good really, was it? It looked ace though. And of course, 3D graphics, nothing ages as badly as 3D graphics. Nice.
Like in The Lawnmower Man?
Actually, I started just after that. I'm not quite that old, John. not quite that old.
Because those were some really dated graphics.
Yeah, I saw a clip for The Lawnmower Man Before movie a couple weeks ago at the Alamo, and it was so laughably bad. Like, it just looked so terrible.
Exactly. So that's what the inside of computers look like.
I was just doing my master's when that came out, and I remember being very impressed with their beautiful rendering. Awful. I think your phone could do better now. But I ran big groups. Yes, I ran big, large groups of people. And before I worked in film, I did 10 years in post-production, but for TV and advertising and commercials. And if you're very lucky, then you can find yourself in meetings with a fantastic cinematographer and a really amazing art director and a really fantastic editor. And what you're doing is laughably ridiculous. You're making a digestive biscuit look attractive, and you're having a very serious conversation about the backstory of what's going to put that together. Ludicrous. But I loved that collaboration and the fact that the time that it is delivered is vitally important. So for an advert, 3:30 Tuesday, it's worth 60 grand. 4:30 Tuesday, it's worth nothing, and you're going to get sued. So it's all about delivery. It's all about making sure it happens and collaboration together. And when I left the film industry, I found it incredibly difficult being at home on my own, attached to a computer. And what they taught me as a geek was to sit in the dark for 20 or 30 hours at a time, quietly doing T-Rex typing.
That's Dave's life. That you just described Dave. Dave, is that your life?
Yes.
Oh.
Exactly. So it's really important to me. That was the thing I missed, that working in groups, collaboration, just having someone else say, maybe it's time for you to stop working now, Liz. Put the laptop down. It took a long time. My very first mastermind, that's pretty much what they did. I left DreamWorks where I was working, and I immediately wanted to replace that income that I'd had. And I just thought if I worked really, really hard, that would happen. This is not sensible business, people. Don't try this at home. So I worked like 6 months solidly. And after, and I got up at 5:30, worked till midnight, just worked and worked and worked. Said yes to everything. Awful business plan, I might add. And in the middle of this, I started a mastermind because I'd heard about them and thought, this sounds great. So I brought the idea to India, found some entrepreneurs to be in it, set up a company to hold that. Type A personality, to say the least. And after about maybe 3 or 4 months of running the mastermind, they came back to me and said, you left the film industry because you wanted to work less. We haven't seen, you never go out. You have to stop. It's pretty much an intervention to get me to stop work. And that's the point I realized, that other people see you in the round in a way that you don't yourself when you're just scribbling away. It's good. I'd still be there.
Right. Well, that's exactly it. It's, you have to be in other environments to see yourself fully. And if you're in your writer's cave or basement in Dave's case, then you lose that perspective. You don't know what you're doing because you've been on the hamster wheel, and you know what it feels like to go round and round and round, but you have to go forward. And I think that breaking our routines is a really great way to do that. And maybe you can't travel, maybe you can't join a mastermind, but what are the things that you can do as an author? Like, okay, you are this author and you never want to leave. What are tangible things that you can do to get some outside perspective, to get other people, other creative people who are not other authors necessarily, but other creative people, actually creative business people, it really is what I'm talking about here. Because these are people, I don't think that you need to, I think just getting out will naturally sharpen your art a little bit because you're getting fresh air. I know that pretty much every time I have a story block where I need a new question, I just go for a walk, and I don't even need to walk long before I'm thinking. So I think changing your state is good for that. But if you're looking to get smarter from other people, that's probably business, right? You probably want to find out what they're doing, how they're thinking, how you can get sharper. So where do you find those voices?
Well, I'd also say that you don't actually, not to encourage people to spend more time at home, you don't have to meet in person. Probably all at the moment, all of the masterminds I run are online. So I was running them from shacks in Costa Rica and in India. You don't need to be near other writers to do this, or other people to do this. So I would, I think you're right. I would look for like minds that are in similar but different businesses. So people that are enthusiastic. And also, if it's a free mastermind, you want people that are going to commit to be there all the time. Because the joy about actually paying for it is that people have skin in the game, and they'll make sure that they stick with it. Because there is, as a group, if you're holding the space for achieving stuff, it can feel a bit like you've been dumped if someone goes, you know what, I can't be bothered coming anymore. And you want people that are committed.
Right. I think that's a big thing too. But even if it's just an accountability group at the thing, I think it's almost like look at what is the one thing that you need and then reverse engineer it from there. So if you're an author who's just never finished your first draft, that's it. You've started 82 times. I think this is a lot of writers. You started 82 times, but you've never gotten past chapter 16. Chapter 16 always fucks you up every time. And then you're like, I'm done with this. And you know that if you're with a bunch of other other people who they've also never got past chapter 16 or in the wedding scene. You get these people together and then you hold yourselves accountable. That's a very different group of authors where one author says, okay, I need to form a mastermind because I'm making $10,000 a month. I want to figure out how to make 50. Like that's a very different author, and they shouldn't be in the same mastermind, right?
Absolutely not. So if you were looking to increase your income, you can work with pretty much anybody to do that. You could work with someone who ran a garage or any other sort of business where you have goals and you want to increase. With writing, it would probably be useful if it was someone else who did online marketing of some form, but also anyone that's looking to expand. And that's a very tangible result. What are you going to do to it? What are you going to do to make that happen? So when we next see you, what will have happened? Whereas the people that have never finished their first draft, that would be more about almost using the power of shame to get that done. So when I next...
How do you feel about the power of shame?
It fuels my every breath.
And how do you feel about that as a possible autobiography title?
Or as a Huey Lewis song?
The power of shame. You worked for DreamWorks. Did you do animation?
I did. I did lighting for a long time. So I was a CG supervisor from a geek point of view, and I used to do quite a lot of cinematography stuff as well.
So was it lighting for animation or lighting for like real movies?
Lighting for animation. I did post-production vis effects. So I worked on like a lot of spaceships and stuff in cities where they've built a small amount on set, and then I'm seamlessly matching so that you can't tell it's there. And so if I've done my job correctly, most of you have seen my work and none of you would know it was there. That in itself was disheartening after 20 years, I might say.
Yeah.
Did you work on Over the Hedge?
I didn't. I joined later. I worked on I can't remember. Oh, that's so nice, Dave. That was fucking destroyed my life, DreamWorks. Not if you're listening, kids. It was wonderful. It was lovely.
Wow, Dave's giving you therapy. This is good.
And it's Dave kind of therapy. Makes you feel worse.
Tell me where it hurts.
Everywhere. The clue's in the name with DreamWorks. Even dreams are work. If it was there, I should have realised it was going to be tricky.
Even
Dream sweatshop.
Wow, that's fantastic. All right, so I think that the big question that I think people are still having trouble answering if they're listening to this is, where do I find people? Where do I find these people for myself? Right.
That's what I was just gonna ask.
Right, like because I get this and I get what you should look for, but I almost think I have my answer, but by all means go first. Like where I need somebody to help me build a better email list, or I want to form a little accountability group. I'm at the place in my career where I don't want to pay for it, but I want people who do have skin in the game. So I want it to be as important to them as it is to me. So I'm going to call this an accountability group, not a mastermind. But where do I find those people? I am a smarter artist. I am in Facebook, so I know where my location. How do I look for them?
Cool. So other than asking in the Smarter Artist group, which I think is a fantastic place to start, I would look at other entrepreneurial groups that are similar. So LinkedIn, Facebook, groups that you're known a tiny bit. And if you're not known anywhere, it takes about 3 or 4 weeks of actually doing exactly what Johnny was saying, which is you see questions and you answer them and you become part of the community. See if there are some people that are going to be more interesting, answer more quickly, and are generally sort of, you can tell quite quickly whether someone's your kind of person or whether they're just a dick. Let's face it. You're filtering out dicks, right? So you're looking for enthusiastic, but not wankers.
It's like a condom.
Yeah. Well, actually, you want more of a barrier form than that. You just don't want to have anything to do with them. So, because the other thing is, people that annoy you slightly can sometimes teach you a great deal. But you're looking for someone who's going to be a bit of a dick about things like, but you said you were going to do it on Monday and you haven't done anything.
Right, because just to be clear, this is not a friends group. Like
no.
It's not. And I love that you pointed that out earlier, that look, people start to do this and they're like, okay, who can meet at Tuesdays at 6 and is my friend? Like that's a really shitty accountability group, because it might be great, but only if you're really.
If it is, it's accidental.
Yeah, exactly. And so having people, it's like if you're putting together a super team, you don't want everybody to be good at invisibility, right?
My superpower is being here Tuesday at 5.
Right.
What should we do to solve this one? Be invisible again?
Right. You want complementing superpowers, and it's like me, Johnny, Dave. We all have very individual skills that they're compatible. We help make each other stronger.
A very particular set of skills, you might say.
Yeah, it's very particular, and so we want to, if we're looking to add people into what we're doing, they need to be compatible with what we're doing. And so it's personalities, but it's also, I think goals are more important than personality here. It's, will this person get me closer to the things that I'm dreaming of doing and that I'm hoping to do and that I'm working hard to do? If yes, then they're probably a good match.
And ethic, I think, is important.
Yeah,
exactly.
sure.
So what you're doing and the speed at which you're doing it, when I'm putting a group together, that's really important. So just making sure that you're not with someone who's going to drag their feet, not with someone who's going to take 6 months to do a first draft.
Okay, I'm really surprised that Dave clearly dropped the ball on this question, but what do you do if something doesn't work out? If you have somebody in your group that shouldn't be in your group anymore?
Maybe they're a murderer.
Other than murder, the simple way is to ask them to leave. then actually that's the two questions I'm asked most often is, what do I do as a coach if I get the wrong person in my group? And what do I do if, so that would be the person running it. What do I do if I end up in the wrong group? And the answer is the same. You get rid of that person. So you leave yourself, but you get rid of the other person. Now, it sounds harsh, but if you've got 2 or 3 people, even 6 people together, and you've got one person who is, I say again, a complete dick, if you get rid of them with one conversation, and they probably know, they're probably being a dick because they know it's not quite the right place for them. So it's better to like rip the Band-Aid off and have a quick conversation saying, this patently isn't working out. Let's talk about it. And if it's something like punctuality or just never showing up, that's probably because they don't give a shit. And a conversation saying, is this working out for you? Do you think this is the best use of your time?
Probably not anyway.
Yes, exactly. They're probably waiting for it to happen.
If they're such a dick that the conversation would be difficult, can you just like move the meeting time and tell everybody but them until they get the hint?
That would be you being a dick. No.
Perfect. It all washes out.
Wow.
But yeah, no, it's also always better to have the hard conversation quickly. But if you begin with a sort of framework, we're going to do this for 3 months. This is the commitment. We're going to meet weekly. We're going to meet every other week, and we're going to make sure that we hold each other accountable. And that means that we do show up, and you can't miss more than, I don't know, one in 5. And if you
have a guy in your mastermind who's just always kind of negative, and every time you have a balloon, he pops it. He only shows
literally.
Yeah, he only shows up to 1 out of 3 or 4 in-person events. And
he brings children balloons in order to pop them.
And he is a partner of the company. I should mention that.
From Florida.
Gosh. Well, he must bring an awful lot of positivity when he's actually there.
No,
he's actually the only reason that anybody likes the company.
Well, in that case, that's more of a business decision than a mastermind.
He's more of a mascot than really anything.
Because who wants Frosted Flakes without Tony the Tiger?
Exactly. But generally, actually, when I start a mastermind, I make sure that I've got a few ground rules in, of which one of them is not pissing on people's parade. Actually, just having some kind of positivity. It might not be a mastermind that would suit you, Dave. That's in all other ways, it would be great. So
to answer Sean's question, I would say you don't make the guy come to the meetings.
Yeah, I think that would be the answer, actually.
True. It would effectively be the same as not having him in the group, though, isn't it?
Give him the option to be in the group when he's in the mood.
Well, no, I do like it that you're the mascot. I never thought of. During our story ladder, when we did learn the importance of mascots, and so I think that this is perfect.
It's true. They're unexpectedly positive in the world of entrepreneurs. So yes.
All right. Yes. Well, that seems like a very, very strong.
Cool. I'm going to do even less now that I know my value.
See, Dave's also always looking for ways to iterate and improve himself, but it's so that he can do less.
Yes.
For the company, for his family, for himself.
My goal is that I just wake up and that's about all I need to do, except maybe
goal achieved.
How will you know? Okay, Dave, how will you know when it's time to go to sleep? Like, what's a day done in your perfect paradise?
Until I pass out from exhaustion.
Well, I was just going to say when the doing nothing excruciating.
but how do you get exhausted if you're just lying in bed?
Life.
Are you
interacting with other people?
You haven't seen WALL-E, right? Or no, you have.
I have. Yeah.
Okay, so is that a good life to you or a bad life to you?
No, I don't really want to do that.
All right, just curious.
All right. Well,
I just want to be left alone. That's all I want. That's my thing.
Liz, do you have anywhere where you want people to come bother you? Do you have something you want to send people to or anything like that?
Yes, that would be lovely. I have a website called rethinkcentral.com, and if you're interested in masterminds and how to avoid like the biggest mistakes of joining a mastermind. You
like letting Dave in.
Yes, I should have made that. But the big the most common mistakes of running a mastermind, which it sounds like we're heading people towards that. If you go to rethinkcentral.com/common10.
rethinkcentral.com/common10, and you're getting a lot of love in the comments. So,
may I suggest
swearing and being rude to people? Well,
I was actually going to say, first of all, I was going to say that it's okay. This is amazing. So all of you who can't see the video right now, Beth, who I clearly gave the wrong intro to Liz earlier, has now shown up 15 minutes early for our second episode. So we have everybody all at once right now. Everyone say hi. So anyway, Liz, I think it's hilarious that I almost felt like we needed to warn the audience before you came on. You know, oh wow, there's going to be a lot of potty talk. I think maybe I said that. Maybe, I don't know. But you were on your best behavior. I know. I didn't even say the word that we bonded over. No, you did not say the word that we bonded over.
I don't think I could say that. That would be good.
No, well, it's just out of context now. It just sounds good. but it is a good word. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us and for being here. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you very much.
And for our end, anybody, we have story jackets. If you want to get a developmental edit on your beats, that is at sterlingandstone.net/storyjacket, or for romance/storygarter. And remember those book ahead. So if you're interested, do it now. And again, thank you so much to Liz, and we'll see y'all next time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.